Hey everybody, welcome back to Rusty Wrench Restorations. We're finally getting back to this John Deere 70 skid steer. It's literally been weeks since we've done anything with this. When we last left off, I was pushing to get everything painted before the pollen came, and well, the pollen has come and gone for the most part. Now I'm dealing with nicely painted items that are covered in pollen, but we'll handle that another time. So basically today's video is going to be pretty quick. I just want to try to get all four of the drive hubs reinstalled back on the frame of the tractor so that I can get the tires and hubs rims put back on to make this thing mobile again. I've got a week off from work coming up. I have a good chance to just get this thing complete and finished, so I want to be able to get it mobile so I can move it into the garage. I have tons of hydraulic components to work on, getting both the pumps and the drive motors and the hoses and fittings and everything put together, and hydraulic systems are best worked on in a clean environment, not outside with the dust and the pollen. So with that being said, in order to get this mobile, like I said, I need all four drive hubs back on. We'll get the tires and rims installed today. Hopefully we'll get it off the cribbing, and you know, I moved all these big components down here to continue work on this side, but this roll cage, I've already got it over the tractor itself, so we're just going to go ahead and set it on. Typically I wouldn't put that on until the end, but it's already pretty much where it needs to be. So today's goal is just to get a rolling frame so we can move it around. And like I said, the rest of this is going to go really quick. Everything's painted. I've got all the gaskets, seals, hardware, anything that I need to finish getting this thing back together is already here. So it should be just like putting a big Lego set together. So stay tuned. It's going to be a quick ride to get this one finished up. Alright, so basically this is just going to get reinstalled in the reverse order. If you remember when we took this apart, the drive sprocket here comes off from inside the sump. So basically we'll just kind of reverse engineer this back in place again. So we'll remove the castle nut. There's the shim washer, and then the drive sprocket slides off. I'm going to set that inside the sump, how I removed it from the hub. And then basically this spline section will go in. We'll put the drive sprocket onto the shaft, push it through, get the nut on, and then we'll put these 6 nuts on to hold the hub assembly in place. Just want to make sure your working surfaces are clean. It's been sitting out here for a little bit. Just make sure you don't have any dust or debris or dirt or anything. If you want, you can squirt a little oil in here. I wouldn't grease this bearing because it's going to be sitting in a pool of oil anyway. And then tightening up that castle nut is what's going to set our preload to get our bearings nice and tight in there. So now on this flange here, I had cut some new Garlock gaskets that are going to go on. Once this is installed, any oil that's on this side should soak into this paper and cause it to swell to seal. But I know I always say don't put RTV on paper gaskets, but I'm going to use a little bit of this ultra black on both sides of this gasket, just around this center area. I don't need to go crazy and get it all around. I want to be able to get this back off again if I need to, but just, you know, a little bead around the inside and outside of this gasket should set us up for success. So we'll go ahead and get this first one on, and the other 3 are going to be the same, so there's really no need to see all that and bore you with repetitiveness. Alright, we've got the gasket maker on both sides here. We'll go ahead and install the first gasket on this side here. And remember, as we install this hub through, we're going to have to slide this sprocket onto the shaft. So let's see if we can get it started. Slide this up here. You can see it from the access hole on the inside a little better. Alright, I'm definitely going to need to move the sprocket up into position first. There we go. And hopefully, we can make this work. Alright, that's there. See if we can get this up onto the splines. I'm going to put a couple nuts and lock washers on this side just to hold it in place. Going to do it. Use the nuts to draw it in the rest of the way as well. And then we'll put the spacer and the castle nut on the inside to set our bearing play so that it's not loose like that. We'll get these tightened up first. I think the impact might help this go a little quicker. I'm going to try this little 1/4 inch one first. I really don't want to break out the big 1-inch drive impact on this. These should work just fine to get them where we need to go. And then once we get these snug, we will do our final torque. Alright, let's see what the torque is and get this torque to its regular setting. Alright, these nuts to hold the hub on are supposed to be 30 foot-pounds, which isn't a whole lot. Do our kind of star pattern here. Alright, that's it. Pretty easy. I'm going to come on to this side. We'll get the spacer and the castle nut put in. So just as a reminder, at this point there's no pressure on that bearing, so you're going to see the hub's going to move around quite a bit. So over here on this side we have the little access panel down here. I'll see if I can get the camera set up better, but basically we're going to take this spacer and that's going to go on the sprocket shaft. And then this castle nut with the castle out, it's going to get threaded onto that shaft, and we will tighten it up until we don't have any of that play left in there. If I can even get that nut started here. There we go. Let's see what the book says. I just lost it. Powertrain towards the back. Those are the drive pumps. Let me set this camera down here for a second. You can watch me search through. Alright, here we go. Removing axle from loader. And installing axle. After tightening the castellated nut on the axle should turn freely by hand. There should be an end play of 0 to 10 thousandths inches. Tighten axle hub nuts to 30 foot-pounds, which is what we did. So basically, you don't want to have any end play in that more than 10 thousandths of an inch. So I'll get that tightened up. I'll get the camera so you can see a little better, and we'll get the cotter pin in. think I got this set up where you can see it. So again, I started that castellated nut on that shaft, and we're just going to turn it in until it gets snug. And that's what's going to kind of compress the bearing housing and the bearing race together to get rid of that axle end plate that you hear. So let me go get a socket that's proper for that to get it turned in most of the way. Alright, look at this doozy. So we got a 1 5/16" socket that's 3/4 drive, reduced down to 1/2 inch, reduced down to 3 inch, reduced down to 1/4 inch. And if that's not enough, I'm going to put a little swivel on there too. This is what I got to do to be able to get this shot for y'all. This nut should spin on pretty free anyway. It shouldn't have a lot of issue. So let's see if we can't get this turned on a little quicker. I'm sure that sounds amazing in your video. Alright, so as you can see, the hub moves free, and I don't have any play on the outside here. You go shake it up and down and in and out. Up and down's good, in and out's good. I think we're good there. I might give it one more ooga dooga, just for good luck. I'm spinning the shaft on the outside. It'll help if I hold that. There you go, good to go. So that's the hub assembly. There's going to be a cotter pin that goes in that castle nut, so I might have to tighten or loosen a little bit just to get it so that the cotter pin holes line up. And then there's a gasket with a little cover on the end, which I have over here. It's just a small square cover that goes over that access hole, and I haven't painted those. So yes, I have 4 covers to paint, and I still have my lift and tilt cylinders. As you can see, it is a train wreck out here. Alright, so I'm going to put that cotter pin in. I'll grind, prime, and paint those covers later, install new gaskets on those. But for now, I'm going to put the other 3 hubs on. Again, it's the same process, so you don't need to see that. Just know that the rear ones do have the brake housing plate on there. This one is missing all the brake hardware. I don't know why you'd ever need it. It's hydrostatic, but I don't have it. But just know that if you do have brakes on yours in the rear, that you properly orientate those hub housings. So anyway, I'm gonna get those 3 on, and then I'll get you back when we put the wheels on. And we're back. So as you can see, I've got both right hand hubs installed. Got the castle nuts with locking cotter pins, and both left front and rears as well. These rear ones are a little harder to get in. Had to do the old manual way with a ratchet wrench. So that's pretty much it. I did buy new, well, for getting those on, I did buy new lug nuts for holding the rims onto the hubs. So I'm going to go ahead and get the tires put on now. We'll get it down off the cribbing, and hopefully we can get this roll cage positioned in place so we can get it mobile and moving around. So, well, let's get to it. Don't forget that the tires are directional. You should have 2 of each on each side. And always get your lug nuts started first by hand. Buddy, there she goes, looking good with some new shoes on. That's what I'm talking about. So we're kind of doing this backwards from how we would normally do any other restoration. The tires and wheels are usually some of the last things to go back on, as well as that roll cage. But like I said, just in efforts to try to get it maneuverable, and because I've got that stupid roll cage already hanging above it, now's the time. It's gonna take me just as long to put it on as it would be to move it out of the way. So that's next. Let's do it. Alright, before we end today's video, quick little shout out here to Chesapeake Bay Rubber and Gasket. They're in Norfolk, Virginia. There's their email. I'm sure they have a website. I have them do a lot of my gasket stuff. As you know, we just put on the 4 hub gaskets. This one here, this rectangular type gasket, is for the side panel over here for the drive system. So this plate that goes on there to cover up the chain sump. Anyway, the original gasket, well, I got it all off in one piece, but you can see that it's got dovetails in here at all 4 corners, and I don't know why. The only thing I can think of is these 4 little pieces stack real small and nice for a smaller shipping container, vice something big. But I had them water jet me some 1-piece gaskets. So I think that'll work fine for me. I only need 2. I had to make 4. It's always good to have them make a couple extras. The real money when you're buying this stuff is having them do the design. So to have a couple extras cut out is like literally pennies. And I also had them do these gaskets here. These are for the drive motors. So 2 drive motors. Right hand drive motor goes up here in this hole. Left hand drive motors on the lower end down there. A couple quick things about these drive motors in case I forget when it comes time to put these on. One cool little fun fact, hopefully this will show up, but Cessna, these drive motors are made by Cessna, and if I remember correctly, when I did the 1816C restoration for the other case skid steer, the pumps and motors were both made by Cessna on there. So never knew that. Yeah, it's the same aircraft company that makes the small aircraft. But anyway, one thing I wanted to get to about these drive motors, in case I forget, you can see the flange has 2 bolts, so it can only go on 2 ways, and one way is the right way and one's the wrong way. So I want to make sure we know you know what the right way is. So if you look at the end of this thing, hopefully you can see up in this little cavity here, there's a little hole, little drain hole that goes on top. Always, always, always. Now I don't remember which one was left or right. I'll go back and look at my photos. Obviously this one has a U piping on here, and this is more of a 90 degree and another elbow. But regardless, that hole needs to be at the top, because what happens is when the hydraulic fluid comes in here, this motor fills up and then it overflows out of that little weep hole into the chain sump inside here. So if you have that hydraulic motor 180 out and that little hole's at the bottom, it's never going to fill up with fluid, and it's just going to be, I mean, I guess it probably eventually would. I'm sure the pump is putting more fluid in here than what can come out of that hole, but that's not the right way. Just make sure those little holes are at the top and you should be good to go. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Like I said, I just wanted to get the hubs installed, the wheels on, the roll cage, so we can get this thing mobile. By the time you see this video, I'll be on vacation, and I'm going to be working on this thing literally every day. So this one's going to go quick. We're going to knock it out. I need this thing to help me move stuff around here. I need more room over here to work in the next project, so we need to get it finished up. So I think we might move it into the garage. Like I said, it's a little bit cleaner in there. It's definitely easier for me to take video in there as well. And we'll get this thing finished up. So yeah, I'll have to move all this crap inside. But anyway, that's enough for today's video. Catch you on the next one. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you already did, thank you very much. And I'll see you in the next one.